afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started. This is the October 15th edition of the City of Atlanta's Finance and Executive Committee. I'm Howard Shook, Chair of the committee. My vice chair has an excused absence today, as does Mr. Hillis. However, Ms. Bakhtiari, Mr. Winston, and Ms. Collier-Overstreet are here. I think we're about to be joined by Mr. Amos. So we do have a quorum. I'm going to call the meeting together to order, and I will move adoption of the agenda. Second by Ms. Overstreet. Let's open that vote.
One moment.
You give me a yes?
Thank you.
The vote is open.
Oh, never mind.
That's 4 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, and we've been joined by Mr. Amos. I'll move approval of the minutes of the prior meeting. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open the vote.
Vote is open. And the vote is closed.
All right, thank you. In terms of reports, the Invest Atlanta annual report has been distributed in the form of a handout, and it has also been posted for the public to view. So that takes us to public comment. Before I get to those who have signed up for public comment, I want to note that Office of the Inspector General interns are in attendance here, and would y'all please stand up? Could you come on up and tell us a little bit about the program and what you'll have them doing? And then if you could identify yourselves, please.
Don Blackett, Interim Inspector General, and I am here and excited to introduce to you all Ms. Lana Ayub. She is a senior at Georgia State University, and Ms. Roslyn Olivares, a sophomore at Agnes Scott University. Ms. Ayub wants to be a medical examiner, and she's had a chance even while with us. We don't do medical exams, but she went over to Fulton County. We set her up so that she can experience that. And Ms. Olivares would like to be an immigration lawyer, and they have been doing an amazing amount of work on our behalf. Mr. President, if I can, while I'm here and have just a moment, I would also like to take a moment to introduce, because you all will be hearing from him shortly, if he will stand up, Mr. Tony McNeil. Mr. McNeil will be our acting deputy over iPro. He will be joining us as we are at this moment losing the amazing Brad Garvey, who is here. And while we have this second, I just would like to give Brad on the record a sincere thank you for his hard work and contributions to the iPro team since he has been here. Mr. McNeil has been a part of our iPro team for 2 years, and I think he is going to be an amazing addition in this position so we can continue the work of the iPro team. And while I have this floor, I'm going to give you one last update that I know that you're going to ask for, President Shook. We do finally have a quorum to our governing board. The last member will be coming before you all at your next meeting for approval. So assuming your approval, we will have our quorum, and we hope to have our first governing board meeting tentatively on November the 20th. So you all will be receiving a report as it relates to that.
All right, that's excellent. Board members, Mr. Garvey, where are you going? Why? You have to come up. Sorry.
Okay. Brad Garvey, Deputy Inspector General of the Independent Procurement Review Division. Just moving on to other audit opportunities. It's been a learning experience.
Yes. For all of us.
A man of few words, we'll miss him.
Yeah, thank you for your work. As you know, we consider them very important. If we don't have it, we hold it. That's just automatic. I don't think we've breached that yet. Hopefully we won't after I'm gone and forgotten. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you all. All right, that takes us to others who have signed up for public comment, beginning with Nate Bailey.
Afternoon, Council. Nate Bailey, President of the Atlanta Professional Firefighters. The other day when I was here talking about the staffing, something didn't catch my attention. One of our members alerted us to it. It's the ordinance for Progressive to have dues deduction. At first, it seemed very innocent, and we sent it to our attorney. Our attorney called me and said, absolutely no way. This is a Trojan horse to repeal the Mediation Act. We are the sole and exclusive bargaining agent for firefighters. It states that in the Mediation Act. Progressive cannot represent firefighters. We all held a vote. Everyone had a chance to vote. They can have members. They can have as many members as they want, but we are the sole exclusive bargaining agent for firefighters. It also says that in the CBA. The city has 4 unions. We all work very hard. I think we have great relationships. If you start diluting labor, you're going to get so many associations in here that you'll never get out of the budget briefings every spring. We take that very seriously, and if other organizations want to get represented, then they just need to follow the process. That's all they have to do. Something else that is very important is that Trojan horse. Let's say somebody sneaks something in an ordinance and y'all don't realize it and we don't catch it, and then the law department comes up 3 or 4 months later when we put them on notice and they say, hey, we accidentally repealed this law. Now we're going to have to start the whole process over again. That's kind of what we've been through with this collective bargaining. About 4 HR commissioners ago, we said, hey, we got to do the vote now. We just got this Mediation Act passed. And they said, no, you have the majority. We have your dues deduction. You don't need to do the vote. So months went by. We kept trying to get the contract. We finally got the city to sit down, and I got an email that said, you got to do the vote. So then we had to pay for that expensive vote that took forever, and a lot of our board had to take vacation, which is happening right now because of this. And now we can't even get the actual signed copy. It was approved in April. But we have a CBA. We are the sole exclusive bargaining agent. This is kind of awkward for me. I hate that somebody is still putting us through this. But the other day, y'all received a letter from the IFF. That same day, one of our members received a dismissal notice because he came to city council last year and asked for the money he was owed. And he spoke right before me. So anyone that's seen with me or the IFF's targeted and another organization is favored. There's somebody that's trying to pit firefighter against firefighter. Why? Because management wins. When we're all united, would be unstoppable. If Progressive and the IFF are together, unstoppable. What does unstoppable mean? Fair pay, every engine and truck in every station. Might even get a Kelly day, maybe a second set of turnout gear. But somebody wants to input stuff and create division. We're not going to be divided, and we're the sole exclusive bargaining agent. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Pagnotta.
Good afternoon, Council.
Afternoon.
Let me just be brief, and you all know me. I'm just going to be very straight to the point with no disrespect whatsoever. Charge it to my heart and my passion. But this legislation or substitute legislation that I just saw today, as always, things get to you up under the rug and we know nothing about it. And that's against our MOU. We should have a conversation that this was coming about. Now, I have no problem. We don't deal with fire. Fire don't deal with us. Our whole the collective bargain, we're in the MOU. That's what we're under. Whatever goes on with fire, that's fire's business. But this legislation, because whatever fight that they got going on, and I hope it get resolved, affects all unions currently enrolled. We, PACE, is not for this legislation. If there's a need for the progressive firefighters to get in and want dues deduction, whoever it is, okay, figure out a way. But don't change this code just to meet that need, because what it does is dismantle everything. Any union, anybody, even I can come out personally and say, oh, I got 100 people, now I want to be a labor organizer, and I want to come in the city being recognized. And you got one person, according to the legislation that I saw, which is an HR commissioner, can make that decision. So when he gets upset with me because I bought procurement people to you to let you know that they were being terminated, I bought DOT up here to let you know what was going on, you would never hear inconsistencies or improprieties going on, because I thought this union had a favorable labor relations with you all. And for this to come about, all I saw was strikeouts of all the unions and PACE, and then to say progressive firefighters in the legislation represent city of a professional employees. That's us, professional employees. It said nothing about fire. So what are you doing, getting rid of me? You want to get rid of PACE because we bringing you the truth and people can't accept the truth? We want transparency, and we want the code to stay exactly the way it is, because there's nothing wrong with the code. And if anybody out of the administration, out of the chief fire's office, whomever feel that progressive firefighters should be a part of that, that's a discussion you all should have and figure it out. But do not affect us. There's 4 recognized unions, and it should stay 4 recognized unions. If you want to have some sidebar, you all figure it out. Chief Baller, figure it out. We already slipped in FPSC talking about they're just giving extra, taking dues out, somebody giving extra amenities, which we already give to our members. I had to address that and tell our members, you paying double dues for stuff we offer the same. They were sneaking in, but you let that go by. Please, don't let this go by. You're gonna have havoc on your hands. Trust and believe that. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Pagnon, I'm very sorry to know that I'm going to leave council before you've overcome your shyness.
Thank you, sir.
Tyler Nelson.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
Tyler Nelson, President of Progressive Firefighters. Just want to be clear that the ordinance, or exactly what we're trying to do, receiving payroll deduction, does not want to affect any other union. Progressive has never tried to be the collective bargaining agent. We don't care to. We have extended our hand to work with the union plenty of times. We house members of 134 and Progressive within the sworn department. This is just an ordinance simply to receive payroll deduction. We're gaining over 200 plus members. We're helping the department. We're helping the community. Was exactly what we're trying to do. Our MOU, our ordinance, we do not want that to affect any other union involved at all. Again, we're just trying to have our organization align with the city. It's simple just to have payroll deduction. The way we do it now is a little bit difficult. In order to do it, you have to be recognized by the city, and we're just following those steps. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Paris.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and council members. So, proving I don't read my emails, the second email I said, we don't have to come today because you're not talking about TADS, but I love being here so much, so here I am. So my apologies to the two of you who had heard this yesterday, but for the record, repeat it. I'm Michael Paris, I'm President and CEO of the Council for Quality Growth, and I appreciate the opportunity on behalf of the council to speak in support of Mayor Andre Dickens' Atlanta Neighborhood Reinvestment Initiative, a bold and necessary step fostering equitable, community-centered redevelopment throughout the city. The central part of this plan is to the use of tax allocation districts as a proven redevelopment tool. TADs capture future property tax growth and reinvest it in community improvements within those districts. To date, Atlanta's TADs have generated tangible, lasting impact on housing affordability, on economic investment, on job creation, on the Atlanta Beltline, especially in mobility for the Atlanta Beltline and those on all parts of the city, on public amenities, and most importantly, on neighborhood revitalization. These results demonstrate that TADs are not simply financing tools, but they are engines for inclusive growth. The Council for Quality Growth believes that continuing to utilize and enhance mechanisms like the Beltline TAD is fundamental to realizing the goals of the Atlanta Neighborhood Reinvestment Initiative. By reinvesting Atlanta's success back into its neighborhoods, we can sustain the momentum that has already lifted thousands of residents and small businesses and community spaces across the city. So the Council for Quality Growth entirely endorses this plan. We have a lot of experience over the years working with TADS around the region, and as y'all enter this process in the future of considering this legislation, we stand available to help in any way we can. So thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. And for the record, this was the subject of a presentation yesterday to the CDHS committee. There was an awful lot of information exchanged and some dialogue and initial questions at any rate, after which the committee unanimously voted to hold it there. It is dual referred, and so quite possibly it's going to end up on our doorstep. When will be up to the good people of CDHS. That takes us to our last public commenter, Officer Reister.
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
I'm Sergeant Reister. Don't demote me yet.
Reister, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Like I said, I'm Katie Reister, Vice President of IBPO 623. Alongside is Secretary Sergeant Angela Blue. I'm sorry. Yeah. And Treasurer Angela Blue, Secretary Jada Bridgman. On behalf of IBPO, we are speaking in solidarity with IAFF Local 134. I have been on the board for approximately 10 years, and we have never had such transparent, communicative relationship with City Council until now, until this morning, when, like Gina, we also just received an email that this was happening. This backdoor deal making is a slap in the face to the progress we've made together. The work we have accomplished together in unity should speak for itself. The raises, compensations, and decisions to make this city stronger and the employees' content are all evident in the work that we've done. The current unions work tirelessly to provide counsel and representation to all its members. For the City Council members to be able to weaken the current recognized unions would be a detriment to their members. The members are, by the way, the ones that serve this city selflessly. Please consider holding this paper, and thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. And for the record, this was introduced at the end of the last council meeting. It was referred to the Public Safety Legal Administration Committee. They took it up this week. They accepted and adopted or approved a substitute, after which they referred it to this committee. And so what I would, and this concludes our public speakers, so thank you for coming down here. I've spoken with some of you on the phone. I'm sure you have reached out to other members of this committee as well. If there's no objection, and since we do have a lot of union leadership here, let's take up the substitute that has come our way. I'll read the caption. This is an ordinance by Ms. Boone, substituted by Public Safety Legal Administration Committee to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Atlanta, Georgia, Chapter 114, Personnel, Article 2, Compensation, Payroll Deductions and Charitable Contributions, Division 1, generally, Section 114-28, Deduction of Labor Organization Dues from Salaries, to the CFO. Okay, I'm reading from the red line version here, which is a little chaotic. To the Chief Financial Officer shall have the authority to promulgate administrative standards pursuant to which labor organizations would be eligible to have the city deduct dues payable by its member employees through payroll and for other purposes. So we're seeing this for the first time here, members of the Finance Committee. And there was a substitute made which seems to have significant changes to the original legislation. I have to warn the members here, we've received a memo from the Department of Law citing at least some of the reasons behind the substitute. And we have been told that that memo is a matter of attorney-client privilege. And so I would caution us today in wanting to dig too carefully into the nature of the substitute. I don't ever speak for other people here, but I think there's enough hear that we're not going to sort this out today, and so I kind of anticipate a motion to hold coming up. But I would like us to use this time, and while we have union leadership here, I think this is an opportunity to start cataloging our questions and concerns. And so if it's all right, let's do that. In fact, to start off the conversation, I will make a motion to hold.
Second.
Second by Bakhtiari. Okay, now let's begin our discussion. Ms. Bakhtiari.
Thank you. I guess my question is first, is anyone here to speak to this paper? Anybody?
Good afternoon. To the chair, other members of the committee. I'm Calvin Blackburn, Commissioner for the Department of Human Resources. And so what I would say, you all are aware of the memo you received that is privileged from the law department. But what I will say briefly again is that the Department of Human Resources is recommending the committee's favorable consideration and approval of this ordinance. What it does, as has been set out earlier, is just to give the CFO the ability to promulgate rules that allow labor organizations to apply for dues deductions. This deductions would amount to about $12.50 biweekly, and the deduction would only occur for members who have been authorized to do so in writing. We believe this legislation aligns with the city's ongoing efforts to support fair labor representation and improve employee relations. The committee should know that the city's payroll system already supports similar deductions for other labor organizations. Implementation of this ordinance will be coordinated between the Department of Human Resources and the Finance Department. So again, we just see this as a way to continuing to allow fair and active representation for employees and for unions to more easily and efficiently get payroll deductions. So we support this resolution and would ask, support this ordinance and would ask for favorable consideration.
Thank you, Commissioner. I guess my first question is why? What is the reason for this?
Why? Again, the reason was to allow for an easier, more efficient way for unions to get payroll deductions instead of having to go through a change to the, am I right, City Attorney, the ordinance, the code and so forth. It's a more complicated process now for an organization to get dues deductions. This process makes for a swifter, easier, and we think fairer approach to getting payroll deductions. So that's why it was brought forth.
I'm going to allow my colleagues, I know, have questions. I'm probably going to have more. I want to let this kind of sink in because I'm still a bit confused upon first hearing, because I obviously haven't really gotten a chance to dive in because it just happened. And I'm glad we're holding, so it'll allow us more time. I don't, upon first reading and upon first hearing this, it feels like it will disempower our unions, so I'm going to wait to hear more. And so, Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and kick it back over to you and then see if after my colleagues speak, if I can ask another question or two. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a couple, but I'll withhold in case anyone else has comments or questions. Ms. Winston.
One quick question, Mr. Chair. Do you anticipate an executive session to dive in at some point on the, I guess, attorney-client memo? Ms. Robinson?
Good afternoon, Amber A. Robinson, City of Atlanta Department of Law. The memorandum that was prepared and sent to you all is a privileged document, but I do believe that any questions would be appropriate for open session. Currently, there is no circumstance concerning this piece of legislation which would permit an executive session under the Open Meetings Act.
Okay, just wanted to understand the nature of how to proceed with this. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, I need some clarification around this relationship that involves both the CFO and you as the director of HR. So if either one of you could flesh out, when I hear that you're supposed to promulgate rules, what does that mean?
To me, it just means that we can standardize how to effectively pay member dues to specific unions, because right now in the code it's very complicated. And so essentially when a entity like Progressive Firefighters would like to get their dues deducted, which came as a simple email, Mr. CFO, we'd like our members to get their dues deducted, my answer to them had to be no. I can't do it code's complicated. It would have to require me to go into the code and make some other changes. So we reached out to the law department and said, hey, it's, you know, they want their members to have their dues deducted. Their members want their dues deducted. It's an easier process for everybody. What can we do? And I think this is the piece of legislation that aims to do that. But at the same time, we don't want it to be anybody who just, you know, 5 people that want to create an organization have use deducted. We want to have it a standard with certain thresholds, certain parameters, certain requirements to allow for that to happen. And so right now, as it stands, a entity like Progressive cannot have that same mechanism afforded to them.
So then would it be your responsibility to contribute in terms of deciding what the mandatory percentage membership is, as well as the amount that could be deducted?
Yeah, we would have to sit down and coordinate with the Department of Human Resources, but we would have to have some critical parameters around what it would mean to do so, because it does require system implementation, it does require system configurements, and so you want to make sure that you're doing it for a group of employees that has a reasonable threshold to do that.
So has that been done? Any of that?
No, it has not been done yet.
Well, it seems to me that the horse should come before the cart then. So as it is now, absent this change, would this particular request be something that would have to be approved by council?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and then in the future, what's being proposed is it would be done administratively.
Correct.
So one of the questions we have to answer is, are we comfortable not participating in those discussions anymore? Ms. Bakhtiari.
I think Councilmember Overstreet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Overstreet.
So my main concern is that we're not, you know, I know we're holding it today, but I do believe that we need a little more information. But the main thing is I want to make sure we're not having any unintended consequences with this. So I'm trying to think through some scenarios that could possibly be an unintended consequence. Can my colleagues think of any? I need a moment to actually hear from a few people so that I can know what it is, other than intentionally taking council out of the decision making. I mean, I want to know from the code-wise, shifting the code in a way to allow for this. What will the unintended consequences be, especially from a legal lens? I just, you know, this is all within the last 3 hours for me, so I don't have examples yet, but I would like to talk more about that so that I'm comfortable with, you know, with what's being asked, because I am pro-labor, pro-union, and want to make sure that we're not doing something that would change our stance as a city legally around the way we're doing it, if that makes sense. I just want to know about the unintended consequences.
Well, can I piggyback?
Any collateral damage, like what? Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. To piggyback off of that, I was curious, does this potentially impact our established collective bargaining agreements?
No.
Not at all.
No, I don't. There's only one entity that has the authority to collectively bargain right now. It's the Firefighters Union, IAF, that was up here before. So I don't see how this will impact that. And that's state law, actually. They're pretty stat, so.
I believe we do have 2 firefighter agencies. I believe one is unionized, so I was curious if this would cause some level of conflict if our Progressive Firefighters Union, I was wondering if this would cause any conflict between the 2 entities that we do have. No? Okay.
I don't see any evidence in that. I think Progressive just spoke to, certainly their intention is not to cause any conflict. So, but I'm not aware of any conflict just on the face of the legislation.
Just checking, because we did just pass the collective bargaining pieces earlier this year, so I wanted to make sure. Sorry, Mr. Chair, I'll defer to you.
One more question.
I apologize, Ms.
Chair, please, thank you. Has there been talk about the combination of both of the groups coming together as an entity?
I'm not aware of any conversations in that regard.
Do you feel that that would be ideal?
Oh, Madam Councilmember, I don't have an opinion on that at all. I'm just, supporting the legislation as far as giving this new process for more efficiently and effectively, in our opinion, allowing unions to do payroll deductions.
Yeah, I understand that. So another question that I would have then, body council, is what are our opportunities for the groups to come together so that we're not faced with this? I just want to make sure that our code is sound and that we are doing the right thing. So what are those opportunities? And what does that look like?
Well, it strikes me, Madam Council Member, as I did hear that for the first time, that's
They're
probably
all
something.
employees, right? They're all
Yes,
City
ma'am.
of Atlanta firefighters.
It strikes me that would be something to be broached between the two unions themselves
Correct.
to discuss whether that makes sense, as opposed to the city being actively involved in that. That's probably a discussion best had between the two unions.
Okay. Well,
No, I understand your question. I just want to explain my thought.
I agree. And I just think that that's something that we should discuss also. Yeah.
All right, let me ask specifically the question that Mr. Bailey alluded to as, I guess, his main concern, and not the only one, but his main one, which is the language in Section 3 that says that all ordinances, parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby waived to the extent of the conflict only. Now, this is a question for the law department. Is there any wiggle room at all, and you've been here a long time, and you've seen a lot of city attorneys come and go, and you know how interpretations can change depending on the latest person to step off the stagecoach. What kind of a risk is there in your mind that what I just read could be used as a pretext for later coming back and saying, well, we've interpreted this to give us the leeway to deem them not to be the existing entity?
Good afternoon, Amber A. Robinson, City of Atlanta Department of Law. I appreciate that question, but I believe because this is a matter of state law that actually wouldn't be possible pursuant to the general waiver language that exists at the end of ordinances passed by this body. So insofar as there is an ordinance in conflict, that would be the case. It would be waived to the extent of the conflict only, just like with all ordinances. However, the selection of the International Association of Firefighters as the sole collective bargaining agent entity for firefighters is a matter of state law. The state law provides that upon a vote of the firefighters in the city of Atlanta, if a majority of them select, in this case, what they have done, they've selected the International Firefighters Association as their bargaining agency. That cannot be undone pursuant to state law absent another majority vote of the firefighters. Whether or not a different organization also is able to have dues deducted from their payroll by the city is notwithstanding the necessity of an affirmative vote separate from any application for dues deductions to replace the International Fire Association of Firefighters as the sole bargaining unit. So because that is a matter of state law, that is a state law requirement, it's at OCGA 2555, it cannot be repealed or changed pursuant to any ordinance of council, let alone the general conflict waiver language that we include in ordinances.
Okay, thank you. A question for HR. So, I guess this is something you can come back to us with, as it looks as though we're not going to sort this out today. But we would all like to know, I'm sure, what is the raw number of progressives and what percentage of the firefighting workforce they comprise. And then refresh me, some councils ago, we did away with the bare minimum threshold that union membership had to attain to be officially recognized as a union, did we not?
Currently, and yes, the code was, I can tell you the year if I have a second, but yeah, currently, instead of there being like a formula and an application process, it seems as though in the past it was more administrative, but it was hard. The code was amended to name specifically which unions can have this dues deduction. As CFO mentioned, that makes it so that even though there might be like certain considerations that are mentioned in the code, in order to have this dues deduction, you specifically have to name any new organization legislatively. So there isn't a process really by which anybody could ever follow a process and receive that dues deduction through administratively. It would still just always be the discretion of the governing body. There would be no way to force you all, let's say, to amend the code to allow for another unit to have dues deduction.
Okay. And then I'll be curious, the progressives have been here far longer than I, and they've never asked for this before, to my knowledge or recollection. I am kind of curious at some point to learn, why the change of heart, change of mind, just what benefits do they think they should now be able to seek on behalf of their members through the dues deduction? So that's something that I'll put out there for them to come back to us with. Anybody else with any questions or concerns? Okay, there's been a motion and a second to hold. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. That vote is closed. The item's held.
The item is held. All right, thank you. To be continued. Could you sound our first read items?
Item number 1 is 25-0-1569, an ordinance by Finance Executive waiving Article 10, Section 2-1187 of the Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta to authorize the mayor or his designee on behalf of the Department of I'll move the mic closer. Is that any better? On behalf of the Department of Enterprise Asset Management to execute the Second Amendment to Enterprise Integrator Software and Preventative Maintenance System with Honeywell International, Inc., to add a funding in the amount not to exceed $100,000.00 for additional site locations to implement Phase 2 under the agreement, to authorize the mayor or his designee to exercise the second renewal option effective November 3rd through November 3rd, 2025 through November 2nd, 2026, in an amount not to exceed $99,822.00, and all contract work will be charged to and paid from the accounts listed. Item number 2, 25-0-1570, an ordinance by Finance Executive Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute amendment number 3 to citywide electrical services with Brown Electrical Services and MWI Electrical Contractors to add funding for the Department of Public Works and the Department of Watershed Management for electrical repairs at various facilities on behalf of the Department of Enterprise Asset Management in an amount not to exceed $750,000.00 annually. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the funds and departments and account numbers listed herein. Number 3, 250-1571, an ordinance by Finance Executive Committee on behalf of the Department of City Planning, authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the fiscal year 2026 Capital Finance Fund budget by transferring an amount not to exceed $900,978.63 from various projects within the Capital Finance Fund to Project 500086 FY21 committed fund balance within the Capital Finance Fund to anticipate and appropriate funds for the third year of contractual agreement listed here, supplemental staffing services with Nova Collaborative JC, a joint venture between Nova Engineering and Environmental LLC, and the Collaborative Inc., and for other purposes.
All right, thank you. We'll take those up at our next sitting. That takes us to Section G ordinances for second reading, first of which is 250-1540, ordinance by Finance Exec to amend the ordinance cited, adopted on the date listed and approved as per the charter section listed on the date also listed, to provide that the contracted dollar amount listed therein shall be in an annual amount not to exceed $1,027,327, and as always for other purposes. I will move approval. Second by Bakhtiari. If there's no questions or comments, let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
All right, the ayes have it. So order 250-1541 is an ordinance by Finance Exec to clarify that the contracted amount not to exceed $3,097,132.60 for the RFP listed citywide preventative maintenance program for HVAC services with ERAS MEP Inc. to provide HVAC preventive maintenance services for various departments listed in the resolution cited, adopted by the Atlanta City Council on the date listed and approved per the charter section listed on that date listed, shall be an annual amount to waive the competitive source selection provisions contained in Division 4 of Article 10 of the Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City, as well as any other conflicting code provisions, to authorize the mayor as designee to enter into Amendment 2 to the agreement to add additional funding on behalf of Enterprise Assets Management for the Department of Watershed Management in an amount not to exceed $1,750,000 annually. All contracted work shall be charged to and paid from, etc. I will move approval. Second by Winston. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
All right, that brings us to our first proposed substitute. I'll move to bring the substitute before us. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open that procedural vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, it's before us. This is a substitute ordinance by Finance Exec, waiving the competitive source selection provisions contained in the cited sections of the City Procurement and Real Estate Code, as well as any other conflicting code provisions, to authorize the mayor as designee to execute the First Amendment to the IFB indicated. This is Microsoft Licenses Agreement with Gov Connection Inc., doing business as Connection Public Sector Solutions, on behalf of AIM, to extend the term of the agreement for 1,077 days, effective on the date listed through the date listed, in an amount not to exceed $7,634,252.80, all contracted work being charged to and paid from, etc. And the substitute plugs in the amount. Questions, comments? I'll move approval. Second by Winston. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
All right, items adopted on substitute 250-1543 is an ordinance by Finance Exec, waiving the competitive source selection provisions contained in the section of the cited section of the code here to ratify services rendered in connection with the co-op agreement listed. This is citywide office printer MFDS supplies and services with Xerox, and authorize the mayor or his designee to execute the sixth amendment to the agreement on behalf of AIM to extend the term for a period not to exceed 1 year, retroactively effective from July 1 of this year through June 30 of next, in an amount not to exceed $1,276,284, all contracted work being charged to and paid from, etc. Questions or comments? I will move approval. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
Items held, 25-0-1544. Ordinance by Financial Exec authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute special procurement agreement blank with blank on behalf of DOF pursuant to the section of the city code listed here, retroactively effective June 24th of this year for a term of 3 years in an amount not to exceed blank, to ratify services rendered in connection with the agreement beginning June 24th of this year, all contracted work to be charged to and paid from. Said motion is to hold. Second by Ms. Overstreet. Let's open the vote. Open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
25-0-1551 is an ordinance by Ms. Boone to waive the sections of the city code cited here, to ratify the City of Atlanta's grant application with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security for the FY24 non-competing continuation funding for the FY19 Securing the Cities program, to authorize the CFO to accept the carryover funds of that grant and to reallocate the FY25 budget in the amount of $687,180.76 to reappropriate grant funds from DHS, to authorize the mayor of the Mayor's Office of Emergency Preparedness as his designee to enter into any required agreements necessary for the implementation of this award and for other purposes.
No, Mr. Chair, there's been notified that there's a need to move this forward with no recommendation as a substitute may be required.
Okay, I'll make that motion. Second by Ms. Bakhtiari. All right, let's open the vote.
The vote is open. $25-0-1552 is an ordinance by Ms. Boone to amend the code sections listed here to require the Department of Procurement to conduct post-award debriefing sessions that would be open to offers that submitted bids or proposals during procurements conducted under competitive sourcing methods and for other purposes. And I would like to hear about this.
Good afternoon, Chairman Shook and committee members. Good to see you today. The ordinance that is before you is an ordinance that originated from the work of the Procurement Task Force, which was led by Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet. Throughout those discussions, the task force emphasized the importance of simply providing consistent and transparent debriefings to non-awarded suppliers. And so in the past, the previous administration in procurement, there has been some uncertainty, of course, on how to best communicate with our suppliers and the vendors who were not selected for award. But under our new Chief Procurement Officer, Chandra Houston, the department is moving forward with this initiative to promulgate the standardized and provide clear and standardized processes to be able to communicate in all fair and transparency to those suppliers.
All right, so I thank Ms. Overstreet for standing this up. I do have a question, and then I'll recognize you, of course. But what is the process currently, and what is the new process going to look like?
The current process at the present is that they really don't necessarily, we don't communicate with those suppliers who are non-awarded in that way.
It's not a requirement.
Right, it's not a requirement for us to respond. In our new process, the new process will require that after there has been legislation adopted, that those suppliers will have an opportunity to receive a debrief, but that's after after it's been adopted. So that's the process, and we believe it's going to be able to help us and help them to be able to empower them to do better on a next solicitation that they might not have fared well on prior to.
Thank you, Ms. Overstreet.
Thank you. I had to leave right before we sounded in our paper, so I wasn't able to sound this in. So I want to thank Councilmember Boone for sounding this in for me. This is a positive direction for procurement and the future of accountability and making sure that we are actually helping our people and those that want to do business with the city and any entity to be more prepared for the next bids. So this is something that actually should have been happening all along, and I'm glad that we finally are putting this in our code, and thank you for bringing this forward. This is something for us to celebrate, because this is one of the things that all of those that want to do business with the city of Atlanta have told me over and over again that they want to know what they did wrong in a bid, and they wanted to just sit down and talk about it, and they weren't given that opportunity. So now we're correcting that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Move approval.
I will second your motion to approve. Ms. Winston.
I'd like to make a subsequent motion to amend to add the name of Councilmember Overstreet to this legislation, since she worked
There you
so
go.
hard
Good
on that.
idea.
Thank
Second
you.
by
Yes,
Bakhtiari.
please add
So
my name.
Let's carry that amendment first. Add Ms. Overstreet.
Yes, would like move to amend. Second, rather.
Gotcha.
Second.
That vote is open. The vote is closed. Favorable.
And now
Move approval.
to the motion to approve as amended. I'll second that. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. It's favorable as amended.
Thank you. Let's take these next two together. 25-015-64, ordinance by Juan authorizing the donation in a total amount not to exceed $55,000 from the council president carry forward account to various nonprofit organizations pursuant to the section of the charter cited here. And 25-015-65 is also an ordinance by Juan authorizing the transfer of funds from various Atlanta City Council carry forward accounts to the appropriate distribution and expense accounts to replenish funds for FY26 and for other purposes. So let's divide the vote, because this next one is going to need to be sent forward on condition of receiving a substitute. So let's vote on item 11. I'll move approval. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open that vote.
Vote is open.
Yeah, anyone interested in transferring money from the council president's account should speak up now.
I'll do it.
And the vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, and as to 1565, I will move that we send that forward on condition of receiving a substitute. Second by Bakhtiari. If there's no questions, let's open that vote.
That vote is open. And closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Resolutions 25R3985, resolution by Boone authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute special procurement agreement for the SP indicated Community Navigator Program with the Latino Community Fund, Inc. on behalf of the mayor's Office of International and Immigrant Affairs pursuant to the section of the city code cited here for a term of 1 year with 2 one-year renewal options in amount not to exceed $50,000 with the possibility of an additional $100,000 future allocation by the CFO if funding becomes available. All contracted work will be charged to, et cetera. I will move approval. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
Thank you. 25R3990 is a resolution by Mr. Bond authorizing the mayor to enter into special procurement, the number of which is indicated, managed service provider for inmate services on behalf of corrections with Keefe Commissary Network LLC to ensure that there is no cessation of commissary services for the inmates and detainees in the Atlanta City Detention Center in an amount not to exceed $540,000 annually. All commissions owed to the city shall be deposited to the funds indicated here, and all contracted work shall be charged and paid from the funds and accounts cited here and for other purposes. I will move approval. Second by Mr. Winston. Let's open that vote.
And that vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
25R3995, resolution by Finance Exec authorizing the mayor to execute the second renewal option for the SP indicated. This is Box Application Licensing and Services with Box Inc. on behalf of DOF for a term of 1 year, effective December 15th of this through December 14th of next, in an amount not to exceed $50,100. All contracted work to be charged to and paid from the sources indicated. I'll move approval. Second by Winston. Let's open the vote.
That vote is open. Vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, 25R3996, resolution by FEC to amend the resolution cited, adopted on the date listed and approved per the charter section cited on that date listed to correct the funding information and authorize the First Amendment to the CP indicated Workiva Cloud Services utilizing the GSA contract number indicated with Virtosoft LLC and for other purposes. I'll move approval. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. 25R3997, resolution by Finance Exec authorizing the mayor's designee to execute special procurement agreement for the SP indicated Situator software maintenance with Safe Fix LLC for the Situator annual software maintenance and support services pursuant to the code section cited here on behalf of Aviation for a 3-year term in an amount not to exceed $960,542 with 3 one-year renewal options, all work to be charged to and paid from the funds listed. And I'm reading what this is for. All right, I'll move approval. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, do we have any duels?
None have made it to this committee.
Excellent. That takes us to a plethora of held papers. The first of which is item 35 on page 14, and it will require a substitute. I'll move to bring a substitute for us. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open that vote.
The vote is open. And closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, and the caption's different. It plugs in the amount. This is a resolution by Shook, substituted by FEC, authorizing the CFO to refund customers for overpayments to water and sewer accounts in an amount not to exceed $13,022.90. All funds to be charged to and paid from, et cetera. Move approval on substitute. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open.
Items approved on substitute. I'll make a motion to bring forward a substitute for 25R3814, second by Bakhtiari. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And And closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
And the substitute includes the amount. This is a resolution by Shook, as substituted by FEC, authorizing the Commissioner of Watershed to adjust water and sewer service charges on certain customer accounts in accordance with the code section cited in the amount not to exceed $371,138.65, and for other purposes, move approval on substitute. Second by Overstreet. Let's open the vote.
Second.
That vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
If I'm going too fast, just let me know. That takes us to item 38.
36. Oh, you're right. 38.
38, which needs, wait for it, a substitute. Caption's the same. This is 25-0-1504, ordinance by Shook to amend the charter of the City of Atlanta, Georgia, section cited under and virtue of the authority of the Municipal Home Rule Act. Detail follows, as amended by amending Part 1, et cetera, to update the requirement for budgeted anticipations not to exceed 99% of the normal revenue collected during the previous year, and to amend the cited code sections here, section 6304 of the charter budget amendments, and to update the process for budget amendments and for other purposes. So, Mr. CFO, could you walk us through the substitute?
Robert. Yes, I have it right here. So again, what we ended up this allows us to better forecast during our annual budget appropriation process. And so right now, the limitation is to budget in the 99% of the prior year's collections. So the substitute now moves it to 100% of the prior year collections and allows us to factor in any other new fees or services that were passed by the city council. For example, the occupational business tax that was just passed, we'd be able to capture the growth of that occupational tax in next year's budget.
Okay, but then we also talked about the benefit of more narrowly defining those kinds of.
Correct.
And I'm looking for that. Where is that enshrined?
It is in Part C. So it's the collections from taxes and fees increases based on advice from the Department of Finance and as validated by a third party.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, where is that?
Section C.
I see. All right, did we vote to bring the substitute forward, Mr. Evans? We have not. I'll make that motion, second by Bakhtiari.
That vote is open. And closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
I want to thank Mr. Juan and Absentia for kind of taking the lead in getting this across the finish line. And I want to thank Finance for working on this as well.
Thank you.
So I will move approval on substitute. Second by Winston. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, thank you. That takes us to item 42, 25R3905, resolution by Ms. Overstreet authorizing the mayor to execute sole source agreement, SSP indicated, with telehealth kiosks with OnMed pursuant to the city code section cited here on behalf of HR for a term of 3 years with 0 renewal options in an amount not to exceed $2,520,000. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the sources indicated. I will make a motion to attach the iPro report. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open that vote and we'll take questions.
The vote is open. Enclosed, 4 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, the iPro report has been included. Questions or comments?
Yes.
Ms. Bakhtiari.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe, Commissioner, I had a list of questions last time. Have we been able to get the responses to those?
Yes, ma'am. Calvin Blackburn again, HR Commissioner, Chair Shook, other members of the committee. Thank you, Councilmember Bakhtiari. You had a number of questions, and I'll run through them and any others you might have. But I think there's initial, how will employee information be protected? OnMed kiosks follow HIPAA-compliant security protocols, encrypting all health data to ensure privacy and confidentiality. Only authorized medical staff can access the information. I think there was a second question regarding insurance. Will city employees be able to use their insurance to access these kiosks? Yes. The answer is yes. Employees can use their current insurance coverage when using the OnMed kiosk, just as they would for a regular doctor's visit. Next, there was a question about how data will be captured. Data is captured electronically during the visit through the kiosk's integrated diagnostic tools and telemedicine software. Then securely transmitted, then the data is securely transmitted to the provider's medical record system. I think there's a question then about what types of doctors are available. OnMed typically will connect employees to board-certified physicians, nurse practitioners, or physician's assistants, depending on the medical need. Additionally, I think there's a general question about just how all this works, so I'll walk you through the process. First, there's check-in. Employee will scan his or her work badge or enter their employee ID to verify their identity. Next, there will be insurance verification. The kiosk itself checks their existing insurance health coverage or provides information about their payment options if insurance isn't needed. Then there's a private booth section. The city employee will enter the kiosk, which is a private enclosed space. Interestingly enough, vitals are collected inside the kiosk. The kiosk automatically measures vital signs like blood pressure, temperature,
Commissioner, if I could, just
Yep.
real quick question before you continue. When they go in, do the windows frost out? Is there something that allows them privacy so people cannot see into the booth?
I imagine we do have a rendering of other places where it's been used, and it looks like I
believe I saw the ones from Tampa, and that is
I can answer that question. I did see them.
Yes.
So yes, they do provide privacy. I had an opportunity to go tour and see one of these in Tampa. So very excited about it.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councilmember Winston. Should I proceed, Councilmember?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
Sure. Vitals, as I was mentioning, the kiosk actually collects vitals during the visit: blood pressure, temperature, oxygen levels, weight, etc., using built-in sensors. The employees concerning the visit, the employee will conduct the visit with a licensed doctor or a nurse practitioner through a secure, high-definition video screen. Prescriptions, if needed, can be sent to a local pharmacy where the medications will be dispensed. Data security, as I mentioned before, all data concerning the visit is securely transmitted and stored in compliance with HIPAA regulations. And I believe those were all of the questions. I hope I've touched upon all of them.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate that. That gave me a lot of feedback. And
Yes, ma'am.
It's reassuring. And I was curious, how many is this going to get us?
Right now, I think we're looking at 2, and we haven't decided where they'll be placed, but the current resolution speaks to 2 kiosks.
At 2.5 million?
I believe that's what it's, yes, 2.2,500,000. Yes, ma'am.
How much is each of these kiosks?
Well, I think probably divided in half. For each one. Is what my
For some reason,
Services too, right?
the entire, I'm sorry?
It's the whole product, including the kiosk and the services associated with it.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you, Silva.
Yeah. Thank you, Money Man. Appreciate you. Question is also, I guess my other question is this going to include, I heard CFO say the piece about the programming and everything else. Is this going to include maintenance? Is that going to include everything over the 36 months, or are those going to be additional costs?
I haven't read it with that level of granularity, so I can't speak to that. Certainly, I would assume so, but I don't want to make that representation here without looking at that.
Okay.
I can certainly get back to you on that.
And our employee, thank you, I would appreciate that. Are employees allowed to use this during work hours? How does that work in terms of work hours? Pay, I mean, are they allowed to access that? somehow penalize if they do? How does that work?
Oh, certainly I would say from an HR perspective, we're never going to penalize employees for seeking healthcare treatment. But I imagine like any treatment, if you're going to visit a doctor, so just coordinate that with your supervisor. And certainly if you're on break or lunch or something like that, it wouldn't require that level of coordination. But I suspect you just coordinate as you would with any normal medical visit.
Understood. Sorry, and I apologize. Penalize should not have been the word that I used. So thank you. I believe that really answers all of my questions. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right.
Marcy, do you want to make a motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Overstreet, which I will second. Let's vote.
The vote is open. And closed, 4 yeas, 0 nays.
And finally, 25R3973 is a resolution by FEC authorizing the mayor to execute the sole source agreement, SSP, Internet Circuit Redundancy Support Services at the airport with Verizon pursuant to the section of the code cited here on behalf of aviation for a term of 3 years with 3 one-year renewal options in an amount not to exceed $1,297,815.84. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from, et cetera. I'll move to amend in the iPro report. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open that vote.
The vote is open. And closed.
I'll move approval as amended. Second by Bakhtiari.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. Favorable as amended.
Do we have any other business?
We do
Mr.
not.
Evans, we do not. Does anyone have any announcements? Seeing none, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Just remember to early vote.
Yes. Thank you.
No, you actually did.